assembled rotor, the safety wired. All right, it's been a long process, but that empty engine compartment is about to get an engine. In case I've never mentioned this before, which I know I have, Ford FE blocks are really heavy. I'm gonna have to go up a little higher still, but let me try to get this thing lined up a little better. The problem, which you can't really see on camera, is directly behind this car is my Volkswagen Bug. So I don't have a lot of room to pull the engine stand that way. The extra large oil pan is making it a little tough here because it's wanting to hit things. For that matter, I don't think it's going to clear the frame. I might have to notch the frame to clear it. We shall see here. Sitting down, but it is just barely tapping the cross member. Why the hell did it do that? Oh, I know why. Because there's nothing on the back of it to keep it up, so the engine's gonna want to tilt. There's no transmission back there, and Ford, at least FE series cross members, or engine mounts, excuse me, have one stud. They're not like a small block Chevy where it's got a bolt that goes through it to keep it from tilting. This thing can tilt quite a bit, but it is sitting down. Let's see what happens if I take more weight off of this thing. That's as far as it's going to tilt. It is sitting in the frame. Yep, it's actually sitting on the header on the steering gearbox currently because of the tilt, which is fine. That will get fixed. I'm going to feel better about this thing if I do a little bit of work on that front cross member though. All right, let's pull it back out. Let's see if I can do that. Ah, don't scratch the paint, Matt. Yeah, can dig at your garage, I'm not. Then again, I also don't have a boatload of guys out here to do this. As you can see, we're talking one-man band. All right, let's get this out of the way for a minute. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. The front of this cross member, oh, I guess it would help if I started it. All right, so let me show you what I got going on here. This oil pan right here is very square. You can see where the shape of this oil pan comes down, that's the original size style oil pan. What they've done is cut the bottom of it off, and then they added this giant rectangular base to it. That's got all the baffling and everything in it. So you can see right there and right there, that's where I made some marks. The oil pan drops in and just barely clears right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a little bit off to give it more room, because I don't need the frame rubbing a hole in my oil pan. That would be bad. Let me get some power over here. Yep, that didn't stay where I wanted it. This will just take a minute or two. Get a couple of these things out of my way. Put my glasses on. All right, I think I got it enough. I'm gonna take it just a hair more off over here. All right, that will do for now. That'll do, donkey. I need, where is my under hood chassis black? Throw a little paint on there. I do not want that rusting. All right, quick touch up. All right, let's slide this little sucker back in there. And by little, I mean really big and heavy. Come on. Come on. There we go. All right. Get this thing back over in the center. Get my jack handle here. Let this thing down just a little bit. All right, there's that for now. Let's let it down a little more. I'm probably getting right in your way with the camera here, with the main one anyway. Hopefully the overhead camera is capturing some of this. All right, let's walk this thing back. Let's take it down a little bit more again. I think I'm good. Let's see what happens here. So much easier doing this without a radiator support and radiator and fenders and all that other junk getting in the way. All right, let's see here. I think needs to go to the left side just a hair. All right. I think this thing will level out as I drop it. I do have, oh, damn it.
Missed it by that much.
I forgot about that. The drain plug sticks out on the back of the motor. On the back of that oil pan. So I'm gonna have to get the grinder again. But before I do that, I kind of need to figure out how far over from here. I am 2 inches over. Actually, let's call it 1.5, because I have to have room to get a wrench on that thing. All right, let's pull the engine back out. All right, grinder it is. All right, something I need to know is how far that thing needs to come out in order to drain the oil. 3/4 it is. All right, how far does this plug come out? Not very far at all, thank God. It would suck to have to lift your engine every time you want to change your oil. Well, I'll put it back in there and see if it clears. If I have enough clearance. What's your vector, Victor? Just in case it is good, I should probably throw some paint on it so I don't have to pull the engine back out just to paint. All right. If not, it'll come back out. All right, here we go. Going back in. Might be enough room. Whoa. What if I throw a tie down? This one I gotta keep here. No, the car has carbon brakes now. That'll work. Now if I can just tilt it. There we go. All right, I think that's going to do me for the moment. Let's see if I can let that down some more. Man, look at that. Am I still recording? Still recording. Look at that. First time that's been there like that in a very long time. Let's get this. Well, okay. Let's let that down just a little more. Holy cow. Well, got tons of clearance on the oil pan on this side. And I'm got okay amount of clearance over here. I might want to do a little bit more where that drain plug is. But I have an engine in my car again. I mean, it's only been out for almost a year. Pulled it out February of last year. Today is January 14th. Pulled it out February of 2022. It's January of 2023. Engine is back in. Granted, not all of that was my fault. There was lots of supply chain issues. COVID caused all kinds of issues. So, I got an engine again. Now, to figure out what I got to do to get this transmission working right, because I'm putting a 5-speed in it. All right, back out here in the garage again. You've seen in the video already, you've seen me put the engine in and out a couple times. I had to do some modifications to the lower front cross member to get it to clear the oil pan. Initially, I was just grinding off a couple spots to clear. Come to find out, as I get the engine more at the correct orientation, so it was sitting nose up quite a bit. As I tilt it up, the oil pan is swinging back down towards the cross member, so I had to clearance it some more. So it got a little bit ugly. At this point, the front lip, where the two pieces of steel cross member come together, formed a lip. I have now bent that lip down to clear the oil pan, just to see if it's going to clear at this point. If that does give me enough clearance, I will go back later and clean it up. But I got to get the engine in there, sitting at the right level, so that I can make sure I got the transmission in at the right level, so that I can get a transmission cross member fabricated. So lots of little things going on here. I can't raise the engine any higher to clear that cross member part, because then I'm going to have hood clearance issues. I can't let it sit at that angle because the oil's not going to pick up correctly in the oil pan. My fan is going to probably end up hitting the radiator. There's all kinds of reasons. So engine's going back in again, and then I'm going to raise the car up, put the transmission in to make sure it clears and I can get everything sitting at the right angle. So hopefully it all goes well. All right, let's get the engine stand out of the, or the cherry picker out of the way here. And let's get the car raised. All right, got the transmission right here on the transmission jack. All right, so transmission's right here. Can you see me? You can see me. Bell housing is right here. Transmission's over here on a transmission jack. I'm gonna bring it over here in a second. I've already got the clutch pressure plate and bell housing on there. The hydraulic throw-out bearing is here on the transmission, which should just fit under. Which it does. So now all I got to do is jack this thing up. All right, so I need to get this thing up high enough. There we go. So this is a hydraulic throw-out bearing, meaning no cables. It's like a modern throw-out bearing on most modern cars, although it's a retrofit one, so it doesn't work exactly the same, but same general principle. You can see the input shaft starting to go in. All right, I'm good on everything except for the angle at which this transmission is laying on this friggin' stand, and it does not want to cooperate with me. All right, let's see here. I think I need to go up just a hair more. So what I'm trying to do now is the pilot bearing on the end of the crankshaft, the nose of the transmission input shaft has to go into that. And so I think it's not lining up exactly perfect. I gotta get some of this garbage out of my way because I keep hitting my head on it. That's all looking good. But that's about the depth of where I'm at as far as how far this thing needs to go in. So it's gonna just take a little bit of wiggling, I think. Now the back end needs to come back down a bit. There it goes. Just started sliding in. We're all the way in. Now all I gotta do is rotate it until I can get the screws in. Or the bolts, excuse me. And if this is gonna be anything like it was yesterday, which is looking like it is, I need something to get some leverage. All right, here's one. I got just enough clearance around the front of the shifter that it should clear my floor. All right, so I'm just starting all these bolts. In a second, I'm gonna hit them with a light duty impact gun just to zip them in so that I'm not doing this all by hand. Oh, let's see here. That one does not want to let me into it because of the tie down I have holding the transmission onto the transmission jack. So I got the top two in. I'm going to take this tie down off. All right. All right, that's out. Let me get one of my jack stands here to support the back end of the transmission. Let me do this. This is not right. All right, get that. Now I can get this under further. All right, now I can let the transmission jack down, get it out of the way. Now I can zip in these bottom two bolts, just snug. All right. Now, I should be able to raise this tranny up until it's in the right position here, which is also going to get my engine tilted properly up front. Don't. Okay, nothing's hitting here. All right, now I got to check up front on my oil pan and make sure I'm clearing here. I am. I think I'm good. These guys are gonna have to come back and get tied off so they don't get stuck into the, they don't get sucked up into the pressure plate, because that would really suck. But let's see if this will go up a little higher even. Yeah. So now, I gotta figure out exactly what angle this needs to sit. And I can also see what I gotta do on a cross member here. I don't know if this stock one is gonna work or not. It is not gonna be tall enough, because even when I put that transmission mount in here, it does not take up enough room. I am several inches low. God, I'm glad that didn't fall. So I put the transmission cross member, or the transmission mount, on the cross member, and I lift the cross member up into place. Where is my slot for the hole on that? That's gonna, I can modify that a little bit. This might work. I need about a 1-inch spacer between the transmission and the transmission mount. Not the cross member, but the mount. And I'll have to re-drill the holes in this. Let's see here, maybe. I'm gonna have to figure something out. But currently, that might work. This needs to go this way. I think those holes can get drifted just a little bit. All right. Engine and transmission are in. The angle is looking correct. I got to make a cross member now. So at this point, this is going to be long and boring. I'll come back once I have a cross member fabricated. All right. I got the back end of the transmission here. Shifter is going up into the floor there. This is where the transmission mount goes. So I'm able to utilize the stock transmission cross member, which is on my workbench, and I'll grab it in a second here. If I flip it around, the transmission mount on the original transmission was further forward. And the transmission cross member is not straight. It actually has an arc in the middle of it as far as lengthwise on the car. So by doing that, I will be able to use the original holes, the original mount for the little horns here where the transmission crossmember mounts. The only difference is it drops down too much for where this mount is. The mount on the other transmission sat lower. So what I've got here is a 1-inch spacer. It was about a 1-inch difference. So this 1-inch spacer is going to fill that gap and allow me to use the stock transmission crossmember. And let me find, don't mind that. That was just my lighting falling over. There we go. All right, so there's that. 1-inch spacer, the rubber transmission crossmember mount. Now I just see my, transmission mount. Now I just see my crossmember, which is right here. So the original transmission crossmember, the original transmission mount, these screw holes were much wider apart. So what I gotta try and do here is see if I can wiggle. I might have to, you know what? This is gonna work out okay. I gotta take this back off, but the holes in the transmission crossmember here will allow me to get to those. So I'm going to set that there. Put this, actually I need to put this guy on here. Lift this up into place. Rotate that. Slip that in there. Get my long ass bolt. Let's get my extension here. There's that one started. And what did I do with the other bolt? There it is. All right, come on, bolt. There we go. We zip those back up now. The angle is not letting me get it. So let me screw it in a little bit by hand, then I should be able to get this on. There we go. All right. There's those. Now, I need to put the nut on the bottom of the transmission mount studs. There's one. Two. Then I need to get the bolt on the end here. Let's see here. This needs to go right there. There's one. Oh, that's way off. How is that far off? All right, what I'm going to have to do is adjust the size of these slots a little bit. Let's leave that on there. Take the top off. All right, ouch. Those are both started. Now, let's see if I can get these bolts in the end here where they bolt up to the let's see here, come on, almost there. I can see you. All right, it's going to take a little bit more fudging, which I'm doing just ahead of the car over on one of my workbenches here. Let's see what we got here. Just a hair off. What I'm going to do here, at this point, I'm going to open the hole up on the transmission mount horns. Mess that hole up a little bit more. Come on. And that one will go in. There she goes. All right, now the question is, can I tighten all this up without things getting all wonky? Because everything right now is just really loose. So let's see. If that mount, if these are on, ah! Yes, that was a tough and manly scream. I meant, oh. All right, let's see here. All right, so those are in. They're not going to get any, they're not going to change any. Let's see if I can tighten these up. And have everything still there's that. There's that. That does not want to go on for some reason. Let me grab a longer socket. Could be that the stud sticking out is not allowing it to go on all the way. All right, where the heck was I? Yep, that must be it. Stud wasn't, it was bottoming out inside the socket, so it wouldn't go on all the way. That's tight. Now all I need to do is tighten these guys up on the end. I need a 3/4 inch wrench and a 3/8 drive socket. Socket, not Allen, not metric mean. I've noticed in some of these videos when I'm editing them, it sounds like I'm dying out of breath. Part of the problem is, at least for me, is it is freaking much colder in my garage than I normally enjoy working in. Today it's in the 40s out here. All right, let's see, that's all tight. I can let this down and I just gotta tighten up the ends But I got a transmission in the car now. I don't know that I can explain or put into words how happy seeing a 5-speed manual transmission in my Country Squire wagon makes me feel. Ugh. All right, that's tight. These are all tight. Ain't nothing going nowhere. We are looking good. Let's get this stuff out from underneath the car and put it on the ground. And now that I have a shifter sticking up through the hole in the floor, I should be able to cut the carpet around that, put a shift boot and a shifter on. Takes a while for this thing to lower all the way down, especially in the cold weather, because it's hydraulic fluid and it's a lot thicker when it's in the 30s and 40s. All right, car is on the ground. I don't need this on here any longer because the transmission is keeping it from tilting. Let me get this out of there. So I'm going to throw on some clean gloves because I want to go in there and cut a hole in my carpet. And I do not need to get greasy handprints all over my brand new carpet. Let me see here. Yep, I can definitely see where that shifter is. Get my nice clean razor blade here. Oop, let's move this transmission jack before I smack it with the door. All right, so you should be able to see this giant lump right here. That is where my shifter is coming through. Actually, that's fine because it's going to be under a shift boot. So let's get the shift boot and the shifter. Still recording over there? We're still recording over there. Good deal. So there's the mounting bolts, or the nuts, I'm sorry. Let's see what happens with this guy. This is a factory Ford shift boot for a 63 Galaxy, which is the car that the Country Squire is based on, is a Galaxy. Where, of course, the boot is in my way and I can't see exactly what I'm doing. Oh man, that is a nice smooth shifting tranny. Let's go here. That comes down. And this ring is going to go over that. There's that hole. There's that hole. So then that is going to screw down right there. Oh my gosh. Let's see here. That should screw in. Yep. I need to get a nut or a wrench for that. Oh, yeah, I know, I sound like a moron. Oh, let's see, I need those. I'm gonna need a drill in a minute. I need to get, I'm gonna guess that's a 9/16 wrench so that I can lock that shift knob down. Let's see what we got here. Oops, keep your seatbelt in the car, Matt. Is this? It is the right size. Oh, there we go. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm giggling like a moron, and I'm okay with it. Because mother damn. All right, what did I do? The razor blade is there. Good, it's not floating around the inside of my car. So, let's take a quick look here. There is the driver compartment. There is a manual transmission. You can see over there the pedals. The pedal assembly, believe it or not, is a 1969 Camaro pedal assembly. This vehicle, as you can see, is most definitely not a 1969 Chevrolet Camaro. That pedal assembly also fits a whole bunch of other things like 68 through 74 Nova and a bunch of other GM products. But, so there is my engine in the car. I have enough clearance on the back of that front crossmember. You can see maybe, yep, there it is down there. The back of the transmission pan. I've got about a 1/2 inch of clearance all the way around it. I got plenty of room between it and this giant sway bar. Yeah, that's an 1.25 inch sway bar, by the way. Let's see here. So we're gonna come over to the driver's side and take a quick look here. So, from the driver's seat, this thing's been sitting in the garage for over a year, so the windows are super dusty. Inside the car, not so much. So, this is not going to be a drag car. I may take it to the drag strip every once in a while, but that is not the intent of this car. This car is a driver / autocross vehicle. So, I do have a shift light there. I don't know if I'm going to leave it. It's currently in there. Plugs into this giant tack, which I will be able to see while I'm driving. Let's see here. Obviously not a stock steering wheel. Down here in the console that I made, in addition to having speakers on either side of it, I have oil pressure, water temperature, and a air-fuel ratio gauge that will plug in to the right cylinder bank exhaust pipe past the header. I've already got a O2 sensor for it and everything came with that. I've got, that is an audio input, both USB and auxiliary jack, for that stereo that looks just almost identical to the factory AM/FM radio. And then over here, that one is going to be, it's just a 3.5, I'm sorry, a USB power jack. But in the middle of it, in that black spot, it has a voltmeter. So it'll tell you how much voltage is in the system. So there's my gauges, and I got another speaker on that side. That's the front speakers underneath the seat. Down here, I don't know if you'll be able to see it. Can't tell if it's too dark. I can't see what the heck the camera's doing. There's an amp hiding down there. I put that in before the seats were even in the car. The rear speakers are not in yet, but I will be making, whew, that's dirty, a speaker box to go across the car from one side to the other behind the back seat. And the speaker wires are already run up here for that box. And I've got the speakers. I just need to build the box. So that is where I'm at currently. And the clutch pedal you saw in the car is plugged into this guy, right? If I can get my finger and everything else to cooperate. There we go. Orange finger, there it is. That is the hydraulic slave cylinder. Sorry, hydraulic master cylinder for my clutch. If you can see through there, through the brake lines, that is a Willwood master. That is the Willwood proportioning valve for my non-power four-wheel disc brakes. And then right here is the reservoir for my clutch. I do have to hook my clutch feed line, which is just sitting there loosely currently, up to the throwout bearing, which is down inside the bell housing. You can see those two hoses right there coming out of the bell housing. And this big giant coil, in case you're wondering, is the fuel line. I replaced the fuel line from the back all the way to the front here. I'm just waiting to get my inner fenders in, so I know exactly where to route that thing. I might just ignore the inner fenders and bring it right across the frame rail. Sorry, talking and not pointing the camera. And bring it right across the frame rail just to the inside of my upper control arm mount. And there you can see my very nice but super dusty PMT fabrication suspension upper control arm, and the boxed lower control arm down there. The giant strut rod with urethane bushings on it, and that sway bar is just, and then this, actually these aftermarket sway bar mount brackets, all gusseted and everything. The stock ones were just stamped sheet metal. So this guy is coming together. I am getting super happy. I should be firing this thing up here very shortly. And then I get, oh, now that I've got a transmission in the car, I need to measure for my drive shaft and then order one. So, anyway,